Slurpty derp. How's it going, my G's? I hope everyone's doing well. I don't want to get jazzy with lots of editing and like lots of cool effects on this video, so going to keep things nice and simple. And just a little quick video today. I think that something is always better than nothing. But this is actually my favourite sound that I've made so far with phase flant. So yeah, wanted to share it with you guys. I did a little short yesterday showing it off with a bit of graphics. But yeah, the thing is that it just sounds dope to me. I think it's literally my favourite. So let's have a little listen to it here.
The parables of phase plant.
I think it's worthy of an overly clickbaity title as well. So I've got to think of one, maybe like most disgusting Neurofunk bass ever, something weird like that. Anyway, let's have a little listen to the sound on its own. So post-processing, turning it off, I just had a bit of reverb and LFO tool on. And yeah, we can talk about the tone of the sound and the movement of the sound, and also what inspired the actual original kind of sound design. So let me turn off like my main sort of movement LFOs and things like that, and then you can see what I sort of start off with, which is it's the sample called the in harmonic, and it won't actually play because it hates me. Yeah, just choosing a random sample to start the proceedings, and I'm tracking this on an LFO, so I'm going to turn the level back down. And yeah, so I've got the volume on my sort of ramp down here, and I've just selected the ramp down, and I've just drawn in a couple of extra points so I can control the ski slope a little bit better to help get the right tone that I want. I've unisoned it here, just kind of mixed in the settings around here 3 times on the smooth, and then we've got a bit of noise, which has also got a little high pass filter in between, so take out a bit of that low end. That's also on my LFO, so it's kind of going up and down. And then yeah, where things start to get interesting is obviously I might as well make a t-shirt saying FM your nan into a sine wave or something like that. But yeah, things get interesting when I add the sine waves in. So this first one is also Unison detuned ×4, blended things in here, and yeah, so like sort of -12 roughly. I've gone up and down a little bit to keep things a bit random. But yeah, so we just FM from the sample directly into the phase here, and just whacked this up to the right, and there's no modulation, it just stays up on the right, sort of around 17%. But again, there's a LFO controlling the level, so yeah, it's bouncing the level up and down with my main LFO here. And we're going to move on to how this LFO gets a bit more complicated after I've done this voicing part. So I've got a nice tone there already, and if we then run it through one more sine wave, so taking the output from here then into the phase. This time I've tracked it to the left, because I noticed that if I went left or right, it was a very different kind of texture. So I mean, that is dirty there. So -12 versus +12. Also cool, but the -12, just the shape of it, the sort of dynamics, it sort of sounds much juicier. So if I just sort of undo that. I love the undo feature on phase plant, it's so good. Is that worked? It was 12.4, there we go. So yeah, this one, and the level of this one is up higher, and it's held up for longer, and it's kind of because it's the low subby part that it's I'm kind of giving that more priority in the volumes, so that's sort of staying on. And yeah, so that's the main voicing, and you can see I've got the glide turned on, I've got the legato and the polyphony just to 1, so I can glide up and down. So it gets really interesting when you start to pitch things around, and that's why I've done in my MIDI patch as well. I've got some little that's what keeps it a lot more interesting anyway. Yeah, so the other thing to note then is I've actually got a different rhythm going on. So the LFO, simple ramp down, 6/16. But what happens is I have another LFO, which I've set the output to modulate the phase of this one. And so it's a bit random and it's hard to visualize in your head like exactly what happens. But if you basically just have your one main LFO movement and then you set up another one and then, track that to the phase, then you can just experiment with this one and see what happens to the overall groove. And so what I've done is I've tracked it over to the phase, and then you can see here I've got this macro which controls the effect. So it's quite simple. When I track the macro, I track it to the yellow circle underneath the modulation, and I just click there, and then it simply can turn it on or off. So if I turn it on now, if you notice the rhythm is completely different, and that's obviously because we're changing the position of this LFO by using this one. So we get an interesting kind of funky rhythm that we would not necessarily have been able to come up with ourselves in the LFO as easily. So modulating one into the other one is a way to get happy accidents with your rhythms. And also, if you notice, I've got this little note thing here, and what this does is it will change the overall speed of the LFO. So what I've done is I've tracked this to this little number here, so that it will change the kind of main speed of the main LFO depending on what note we're playing. So the root note is E3, which is the root note of my MIDI. So that's going to keep it, nothing's going to change at the root note. But if I play a higher note, like up here, that's going to change the speed of the main LFO, and that's also obviously running through with our phase modulation LFO. So yeah, even more complex in a way. But yeah, so these parts where it goes up in pitch, they'll be slightly faster, and so you don't really hear it. If I sort of exaggerate it, let's drag this one out for longer and bring it up a bit higher. It's going to be a faster variation the higher up, which is cool. But yeah, even these little just slightly speeding it up is going to change the overall the overall funkiness of the rhythm. That makes sense. Yeah, anyway, so a couple of extra things to note on the effects then, because the kind of main tone to the sound comes from this phase distortion. So if I turn this off, turn it back on, that's really providing the main sort of dynamic character and tone to the sound. So, and all I've done is put my main LFO to the drive on here. The mix is all the way up, but the drive is down to 0, and then we're driving it up to 40%. The tone is all the way up, so it's really driving the high end. So you can hear the whole kind of... It's going to really distort all the frequencies. So that's actually the main effect that is giving the character to this sound. Then there's just a couple of other simple things that I would do a lot naturally anyway in a lot of sound design, which is just a little bit of filtering here and there just to shape the sound. And so actually these two filters here, this non-linear one and then this little kind of boosting EQ filter, they got a bit of movement on, and that's coming from this little nugget here, which I love and I'm going to use a lot more, which is the audio follower. So obviously the sound has a bit of movement in already, which is created by the sort of detuning and the FM, and it's got this kind of natural lifeline to it. And so the audio follower is just going to sort of pick up on that natural movement, and then I can modulate the filters along with that movement to sort of exaggerate it. So that's what I've done here with these filters, if you sort of pay attention here. You can see how it's following the audio, and it's going to make the filter move at the same kind of time. So just a little bit of kind of tweaking the mid-range, by using those filters, just to like get a bit more of a complex, or not even a complex, but just to shape the sound pretty much. And yeah, there's a little bit of distortion here in between. Just driving all that low end together to sort of gel the sound together. I've got this middle lane, which has actually the mix has been turned off because it's got some sort of crazy effects like the formant filter on, which you can hear. But I'm just sort of mixing that in with the audio follower again here. So yeah, it just gets a little bit of a teaser of that formant sound, but not too much that it sort of ruins the whole low end. And then, yeah, finally, another little random little filter going on here, just a bit of mid-range push. And then we've got a convolver to give everything a little bit more of a room. And this is a really nice effect, the small control room. If I turn it up, quite sort of damp, and short, but it really widens the sound nicely. And this is just mixed in on my LFO as well, so it's a little bit of a nice kind of movement to the reverb. And then one last trick, which is really, really cool, is the stereo. So I've actually taken the sound down. I've sort of monoed the sound a lot more. So it was at sort of 50%, normal. And I've taken it down to 20%, and then I've mixed it in on my LFO, so it's gonna increase the stereo width of the sound, in line with my movement. So it's gonna go from sort of mono to stereo, in line with everything else. So you get this sort of opening and closing flower kind of effect. I like to think of it like a Venus flytrap, opening and closing, But if I were to leave it up and then just make it wider, it's all going to be a bit too hectic and chaotic. So I've actually made it more central and then mixed it to come up to the starting point again. So that's quite nice. So if you listen without it, nice wide sound, but with it on, you got a bit more mono kind of, it's sort of drawing a bit more attention to the mono, but you get still that width just in certain points. So I quite like that. And then literally just to finish off, I've got a little slice EQ, and this is just taking out the sides here. And the low end, and then a 3-band EQ, which is just giving a little high end push at the end. And that's the Evil Trucker bass. I've left this one on Patreon because I think it's my favourite one so far, so didn't want to quite give it away to everyone for free, to be honest. But yeah, like this is also got a little bit of reverb on just in this little kind of loop, and then a bit of side chaining on my kick and a little bit on my snare. Not too much though. But yeah, really nice. What I figured out I could do with shaping the phase, trying left and right to get a different result. And then, trying different variations of octaves on, I started off the other way around. But then when I switched the octaves, so this one was at 12 and this one was at 24, it got a lot better. And then when I played with the phase to the left instead of the right, got a lot better. And then when I used the phase distortion to drive the character and movement of the sound, got way, way better. And then, by using a secondary LFO and randomly trying to find a cool shape that works when you phase modulate it. Yeah, a little bit complicated, but bear with me. Funk and groove got even better. So, without it. Nice, but with it though. That movement fits the mix and the drums more. You can hear the bass has a better placement in the groove, so it just feels more powerful. So that's, and that was all just randomly done by the phase modulation. Using the note as well to change the speed for the higher ones is really cool. I'm loving the audio follower to exaggerate the movement we already have within the effects section. So yeah, really excited for this particular patch, and hopefully we'll continue along this vein and create some even better ones as we go. I've made quite a lot of phase plant patches now. I will either release a preset pack or I'll do like a free one maybe as well. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers, so that could be a good chance to give away another little freebie for you guys. Anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you have a lovely weekend. I will do a little live stream tomorrow. And yeah, hopefully you guys will come and join that. And peace out. Much love. Don't do anything I wouldn't. Say hi to your nan. Bye.
Too great.